Okay. So in this activity, we're going to harden administrator accounts of workstations. We're going to create a fine-grained password policy and for stricter password settings than the default domain policy. And the settings are going to be applied to a global group. In our second task, we're going to use the group policy editor to configure several secure. Hold on, let me just set this up so I can actually see. Okay. Configure security-oriented settings. And then we're going to use group policy to, we're basically going to create a password policy and apply it to group policy. Got it. All right, so let's see what resources. We just have DC1 here, and then we have our background servers. Okay, so let's go ahead and get through here. We're going to go ahead and log on. All right, from Server Manager, we're going to be using Active Directory User and Computers. Tool, Active Directory Users and Computers. And then we're going to create a new group here within this, our new user group. Okay. All right, and where does it want us to put it? Just in users. Now we can do this a couple ways. We can do new group, or we could right click here, new group. I'll just use the button here, new group. We'll name the group name IT staff. Leave that as the same. This is only if you're using legacy systems. Leave that as a global group, I believe. Let's see. Yep. And then security. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to select a couple of the existing users here. Oh, no, a couple of the existing groups, domain admins and local admins. So what we're going to do is hold the control key down, and then we can select multiple groups there. So we're selecting domain admins and then local admins. Select both of these. All right. Right click on them. Now when we right click on either one of them, it's going to apply this right click to both of them. And we're going to go add to a group. Now we're going to search for that group that we just created. I just typed in ITS and it found IT staff. And we're going to hit OK. All right, so we added those groups to the group we just created. So now we're going to go to Tools, Active Directory Administrative Center. And on the left side, we're going to select local or corp, 515 support corporation. It's our notional corporation that we're using for these scenarios. System password settings container. So we're going to find system right here. And then password settings. Good. Okay. Or we can just select that if we like as well. All right, so we've selected that, and we review the following security policy summary for IT staff user account password management. Well, that's a mouthful. Jeez. You could just say review the following policies instead of having 10 more words there. All right, all IT staff privilege accounts must contain a minimum of 20 characters and be complex. Passwords must be changed every 30 days. Passwords may not be changed more than once per day, and the 24 most recent passwords cannot be repeated. Well, these are strict. IT staff privilege accounts are subject to an account lockout policy with a maximum of 3 failed login attempts allowed. Accounts will be locked out for a duration of 20 minutes. Reset failed attempts after 10 minutes. Man, if you had this policy, you'd be getting a lot of IT support calls. This is stricter than the US government. All right, so we're just going to open this container, okay? And we're going to right click anywhere in here. And we're going to go ahead and new password settings, and we're going to start working on these settings here, okay? So we're going to type in, does it have a name we want to write in? Yeah, okay. Wants us to name IT account policy and the precedence level of 10. We're really taking ourselves seriously on this one. Okay, so let's see. Let's start working through this. Minimum of 20 characters. Man, this is how you get people to write down their passwords. Password history, 24. Yep, that's in there. Password age, do we have that? Maximum password age would be 30 days. We don't need minimum age. That's an odd one to have. Complexity, it says complexity here. May not be changed more than once per day. Okay. So that is minimum password age 1. We do want to enforce a lockout policy. 3 failed login attempts. Reset that count after 10 minutes. Reset failed attempts after 10 minutes. Count be locked out for 20 minutes. Okay, this is a very strict password policy. And then we're going to go ahead. Yep. Oh, this is this is way more useful. So they write it out here. We do everything on when they write it out, and then here they just give it to us like this, which is way easier. Okay, we did it the hard way. That's fine. Directly applies to, I assume we're going to apply that to the groups we just made. So let's do that IT staff. Remember, we added those other groups into the IT staff group, which when you start adding groups into groups, you can get in all sorts of... I don't think it's a very good way of organizing things, but for simplicity's sake, we're doing it in the lab here. I think it's better just to keep your groups separate, put users in groups, and then have a group for, just one group with users, not have groups within groups. I think that gets very confusing, especially if you have multiple people doing the password settings or any of the security settings. But, that's fine. Okay, now we're going to score it. We should have it right there. Should detect that, and we got that just right. All right, so now, what we've done is we've applied this super strict Alcatraz type password policy to all the admins that we have using that IT staff group, which, very good security. And I think we're just using this for the administrators. So that's not so bad. Applying a policy like this for administrators, that I could see that being acceptable. Not so much for regular users. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and implement our GPO settings, group policy object settings. An organizational unit is created to store the computer accounts assigned to IT staff members. You'll create a group policy object with specific settings designed to harden IT staff member workstations. Chase says, we helped you pass the Security Plus this past Monday. Hey, great job, Chase. Congratulations on passing your Security Plus. I'm glad my videos are helpful for you. Are you targeting a new certification? I definitely recommend keeping that ball rolling once you get your Sec Plus, going for something else. Because when you get in that test-taking mindset, it really helps to start knocking them out every few months. But great job. All right. So first, create an appropriate organizational unit in Active Directory, and we'll configure the GPO. Okay, pretty simple. So Active Directory uses computers. We're going to get to there. We have that open. Okay. Okay, Active Directory uses computers. We're going to go into domain object. Okay, so we're just right-clicking on corp.515support.com. I'm going to select New, and then we're going to create a new organizational unit. Okay, great. And we're just going to do that and then close this out. Just want to make sure that's all we're doing here. Okay, and then from Server Manager, Tools, Group, Policy Management. You know, CISA Plus is a great certification. I think Network Plus is definitely worth picking up. Network Plus does help you when it comes to more advanced cybersecurity. But if you're looking to get like a SOC analyst position, CISA Plus is where it's at. You definitely want to get that CISA Plus. It's very popular among hiring managers right now for SOC managers. And Network Plus is always going to help. So, you know, especially with Security Plus, it really complements it very well. Okay. So now we're going to go to this policy object we got. All right, we're already here. Sorry, I'm losing track here. Right click on IT Computers, Organizational Unit. Group Policy Management. IT Computers. Okay, there we go. All right, create new GPO in this domain and link it here. We're going to name that Secure Admin Workstation. We got to name it this, so make sure you name that GPO exactly as it's typed in here. With some of these, the ones that are graded by script, some of these labs, it does pay to use this shortcut just to help prevent misspellings. When it comes to typing out commands, though, especially in Linux, I do recommend that you type it out yourself. Or if we're doing like PowerShell commands, I do recommend you type out the commands. It's going to help you learn the commands more. But this isn't really teaching us a command. This is just something that we need to name specifically. So that's not something I would recommend typing out yourself. Okay. So now we're going to expand this out. Now we should see our new organizational unit there, Secure Admin Workstation. And we're going to right click and edit that. You can also do Action Edit. And then here we have a few options. Computer, Policies, Windows Settings, Security Settings, and then we're going to go to Local Policies and Security Options. Now, this can get very confusing. So it's really, you know, we're getting down into the weeds when it comes to the file system here. So that's why I like to do these videos, because you know, a lot of students will get lost in the mix here. So all we're doing, we're drilling down to where eventually we get to security options. So you can follow this if you got lost. Okay. And then here we have the different policies listed. And now we're going to change different actions or change different settings in these policies. So we're going to go to, now let's see if they actually listed it out pretty easily here. Okay. Guest account status. It's not defined. We're going to disable that. So we have to define the policy setting by checking the box, then disabled. That's going to shift that to disabled. Rename administrative account. Again, define. We're going to name that to SYD Jones. Interactive login. Now these are alphabetically ordered. Interactive login or log on. Do not display last user name. We're enable that. Now these are pretty good policies, I think, so far. Disabling a guest account, renaming the administrator account. So many hacking attempts will use the default credentials of administrator. So if you rename the administrator account, you're protecting yourself against a lot of attacks done with bots. Really does help. Interactive logon, message text for users attempting to log on. This could be useful if you have like a policy, acceptable use policy you want to show your users as they log on to their system. Interactive logon, message title for users attempting to log on, or text. Yep. And then we can authorize use only. Title. And we can define that as well. Warning. And there's some other ones here. If we were using biometrics, so we had a smart card, we can require a smart card. If you remove the smart card, we can have that log off this workstation, disconnect the remote service session, all sorts of stuff. So there's really good security settings you can apply in here. And then we can apply this, again, just like anything else in group policy editor to any type of group. So we can apply this to just admins or just people in a certain department. So there's a lot of granularity you can get, you can achieve with Active Directory. Okay, so I think that's everything we had to do. Let's go ahead and close. No, we're going to keep this up. Right. So now I'm going to minimize all these carets just to make it easier for myself. Go to computer configuration, policies. Now we're doing administrative templates. Okay. Windows components. Windows Defender. The firewall. Windows Defender. And then in Windows Defender, okay, so we have turn off Windows Defender right here. So we're going to select that. We're going to set disabled, and we're hit OK. Okay, now I'm going to read this because it does explain it pretty well. In group policy, you often have to use the logic of double negatives. For example, you want to ensure that Windows Defender is always running, but there is not a policy to enable for that. So we have to disable the ability to turn off Windows Defender. So that's what we're doing here. The policy is called turn off Windows Defender. So we say this is the ability for users to turn off Windows Defender. Do we want to allow users to be able to turn off Windows Defender, or do we want to be able to deny users the ability to turn off Windows Defender? And what we did is we set that. We said we want to deny users the ability to turn off Windows Defender. So that's why that works. Okay. Turn off routine remediation. And again, this is another double negative, so we're going to hit disabled. We don't want users to turn off real-time protection. All right, and then we can close this out. Group Policy Management Console, right-click on the Secure Admin Workstation and select Save Report. Okay. So we have secure admin workstation under IT computers. We're going to save a report to the desktop, right? Yep. Okay. I'm going to leave it named that way because I think the script is going to check for that name. It's basically checking for a .htm file with that name. And we got that correct because that's on our desktop. And I'll prove it to you because there it is. And we can open it up with the world's most popular browser, Internet Explorer, and then we could see the report right here. If you want to enable the ActiveX controls, you can do all sorts of, you have the hyperlinks that are enabled to look at all the changes we just made. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the comprehensive questions. All right, so what do you guys think? True or false? The main default domain policy GPO defines password settings for all domain members. All right, this one, yep, pretty simple. True, yep, exactly. And that's what we did in the first step there. All right, fine-grained password policies may be applied to what two Active Directory object types? This is pretty tricky. What do we do in the very beginning? We created that policy with the ridiculous password requirements. We applied that to a group, right? The IT staff group. We created a new group. Okay, so that would be a global group. It applies to everybody. And then we also apply that to we can apply that to user accounts too. We didn't do that directly. So those are the two objects. Now, these are very confusing. You could select Active Directory organizational units. I see some of you guys, some of you guys are answering domain local groups, Active Directory organizational units, Active Directory domain. It's going to be these two. Okay? That's a tricky one, especially with all the options. What happens if we select something else? It just says try again. That's not very helpful. You could be stuck on this one for a long time. It's global groups and user accounts, though. And a lot of these are very misleading, but it's going to be global groups and user accounts. All right, which of the following best defines the benefit of linking GPOs to organizational units? Linking a group policy object to an Active Directory organizational unit causes the settings to apply to that specific Active Directory site. You cannot link group policy objects to Active Directory organizational units. Linking GPO object to an Active Directory organizational unit allows administrators to tailor settings specifically for the users and computers stored in that OU. Linking a group policy object to an Active Directory organizational unit causes the settings to apply to all domain users and computers. Okay, well, we know this is not correct because we did that. We know this is not correct because it says all domain users and computers. That defeats the point of using different groups. We're not doing it with sites, so the third one is going to be correct. These are mouthful answers here, and it's very easy to get misled. Okay, but great job. All right, great job today with the lab. If you have any questions, if you were stuck on anything, please email info@cyberkrafttraining.com or use the chat feature. Be happy to help you. And fantastic work. Keep it up, and have a wonderful day.